What's up, Mike?
What's going on, buddy? I like your shirt.
Thank you. Got a rep hill. Hey, I just want you to know I've got air control covered. If you can cover sea control, we'll bring
I've
in
got
ground
it.
control in a few minutes. We'll have the whole thing controlled.
Clever. You're so clever.
All right, so then they'll play the music. Mike, we got a good guest here today.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, as you mentioned, we've got ground control covered here, so and air.
I
I
want to
gotta
hear the story behind it. And
I'm
I,
gonna have to
I
get
always like nerd out on how they got to the name. Like why whenever we bring in someone who's got a business and it's got a clever name, it's like, well, what caused you to come up with that name for it? So
yeah.
Mehul, is it Shah? Mehul Shah?
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome. And are you the founder?
Yes,
The
I'm one of the
innovator, the
co-founders.
creator? Cool.
I've held all the hats. I've written the software for the programs. I've made sales. I've done marketing. I've been the janitor. I've done it all.
That's
But
awesome.
it's great. Thanks for having me, Mike, Nick. Good to see you both again.
Yeah, good to see you. Hey, just so you know, I've done a lot of the Claude code behind making chips too, but I've vibe coded our whole origin, so we share that. I'm a coder.
That's great. And I actually just saw a stat the other day that said it's like we're still very early. Only 2% of households in the US have used AI.
Wow.
What?
Only 2%. As much as you hear it everywhere, only 2% have
That
actually
seems
used
low. Does that seem
ChatGPT.
low, Mike? I mean, my kids
Well,
use
it
ChatGPT.
seems incredibly low, but maybe deliberately, right? I mean, I think there's probably 98% have used it and didn't know it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you
but
can't help but
yeah,
use
that
it.
does seem remarkably low that, 2% have gone out purposely and, like, asked ChatGPT a question or something.
I've been really focused on marketing in our business this week and just doing all sorts of research and stuff. And the amount of people like who have 0-click searches now, so you're searching, you say, "Hey, how much does it cost to get a chip conveyor?" Or "How much does it cost to automate my machine tool?" or something like that. And then you get the AI answer, and then
Yeah,
for a lot of folks, that's sufficient. They don't need to go to a website.
right.
So, I mean, there's an example of how you're kinda using AI without even realizing you're using AI.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, Lord knows how many zero-click searches I do now. I mean, because that pops up, it's like, "Yeah, okay, that's about what I thought," and move on.
Yeah. So, hey, let's get into the backstory, the origin story of Mehul and ground control. And at some point in the story, you gotta tell us the name and how you came up with the name.
No, absolutely. There's a good story behind it.
So, what brought you into this world in the first place? Getting you into the metalworking nation and this world we
So
live in.
yeah, so I actually, I mean, grew up a lot around manufacturing. My family has been in manufacturing, electronics manufacturing specifically for the last 25, 30 years or so. My dad had a business and then, grew on to have several businesses. I, meanwhile, took a different turn during college and decided to study computer science, electrical engineering, and then I got my master's in machine learning. And this is back in 2016, so a decade ago. So there was no ChatGPT, it was all called back then, it was called deep learning. But I got a lot of really good experience in how to actually implement AI. And I went to go work in, big tech is what they call it in Silicon Valley. So I worked at Amazon, I worked at Yahoo, and I really just felt like a cog in the wheel. You have a team of 30 people, nothing against it, but I was on a team of 30 people working on, the color of a button. And I was like, oh, meanwhile, I'm looking at, coming home, I visit my parents, and I'm like, oh, they're doing all this cool stuff. They're building PCBs for, you know, Tesla, Apple, Google, Lockheed, you name it. And so I eventually decided to take the leap and join the family business. And this is kind of unique. I'm sure you both can relate to this. There's not a lot of software engineers in manufacturing. Unfortunately, there in general is a shortage of supply of software engineers. And so all the money people get attracted to, working at Google and Apple and Facebook. So it was a kind of a unique opportunity to, hey, let's go build some real software for our own businesses and see where we can take this thing. And so, the businesses continue to grow. I built a lot of internal software, everything from a customer portal to an operations dashboard to, data entry automation. And through that experience, I learned, a lot of interesting things. And one of the biggest things I learned is why there isn't a lot of software in manufacturing, right? You go to any random manufacturing facility, whether it's machining, sheet metal fabrication, PCBs, you'll find a lot of Excel and you'll find very little, software compared to if you go to the legal space or the software space or other industries. And it's not that, anyone who's in manufacturing could tell you, it's not that like manufacturing people are dumb and legacy and don't understand software. It's really more that software hasn't been built for manufacturing in the right way. And there was a few key insights that we kind of gleaned over my years working there. One of them was most people build software for software engineers, right? So it's very flashy, it's very customizable, it's built for people who spend all day at a computer and know how to use computers really well. Turns out manufacturing, people are, using their hands for building real things and they want software that just does things and isn't, doesn't take a whole nother degree to learn how to use and learn how to
Yeah.
Mhm.
manage.
Yeah, I'll give
Uh,
you a quote from one of my customers, and I won't name names here, but one of my customers said the other day, "If I'm gonna buy the world's most expensive software, then I don't wanna have my smartest people figure it out for 2 weeks."
Yeah.
That was, like, the direct quote that stuck with me, and it's totally aligned with what you're saying.
You know what it made me think of when you were saying that was, back in the mid late '90s, early 2000s when I was in the software business and in manufacturing space. I mean, at the time, the world in general, like when we would implement software, like we might have to teach people how to use a mouse, right? I mean, computers that in the mid late '90s, it was very frequent that you might come across people that haven't used one at all. But I remember when we started shifting to like some mobile apps, there were mobile apps that hit the market that just failed, and no one could figure out why. And it was because, like, someone might be wearing gloves and they can't push the button, right? So, like, we had to make buttons larger. We had to do, things like that. So when you're talking about, these people are working and they're doing things and the software needs to work for them, you almost kinda have to be in the space to understand what that looks like.
Absolutely. That's a great example. And the second insight we learned was there's a lot of data regulation and it's not so simple to just give someone a piece of software, right? I mean, I'm sure you both have seen the news with CMMC going back and forth, suspended, not
Yeah,
suspended. I personally think it's going to be here to stay. We'll see on the timeline, but there's ITAR, there's DFARS flowdowns, there's CMMC, there's CUI, there's FCI, there's all these acronyms. And there's a lot of infrastructure work you have to do to be able to even give software, even if it costs $50 a month or $50,000 a month. There's a lot of infrastructure work you have to do. And so the result of those has made a very small Venn diagram where the overlap of software engineers who are, you know, want to start a company, want to build software, and also understand manufacturing at a deep level is a very, very small overlap pool. And that's why you see like Excel is the king, right? Everyone uses Excel for everything. Now, that's not to say there's no software. I mean, ProShop is a great example of good software.
Mhm.
But
Well,
there's
and
not as
every
much.
manufacturer is gonna have their, CAD system, CAM system, like, they're kinda you have to have this software to make parts, but I think maybe you're talking more about, like, anything kinda beyond that for just general running your shop and
yeah,
and handling other aspects of the business.
That's exactly right. So that the last thing was, okay, we have these insights. Where do we actually build a big business? And the answer came pretty obvious to us. The tagline we have is mission critical software for highly regulated manufacturing. So,
Mm,
highly regulated means aerospace, defense, automotive, medical device, semiconductor. These are spaces where regulation, it's a good thing and make sure that they can trust these suppliers. But it also means there's a lot of process and bureaucracy that's required to actually be able to accept orders and ship product. And I know, like, Mike, you probably know this at Hill. You guys likely have lots of certifications to handle the customer base that you do.
yeah,
And then the other half is mission critical. So what is mission critical? In our mind, that means essentially workflows that hit three criteria. Number one, they are a workflow that is, widely done by most manufacturers, if not all, in a regulated industry. Number two is they're something that's a daily sharp pain point. So it's something that people deal with every single day, at least every single week. And then number three is something that is done today pretty manually. So if you look at those three check boxes, that kind of rules out we don't want to be an ERP software. There's already enough good ERP softwares in the market today. and they all serve good purposes. We don't want to be yet another ERP software because we want to focus on like the mission critical workflows that quite literally block you from, getting orders in and shipping orders out.
All right, shop owners, listen up here. I think all of us know we are in one of the most capital intensive businesses there is, and margins are tight, and we're always fighting issues. And then when we make money, what do we do with it? Stock market's up and down all over the place. Well, I get asked a lot about where can I invest my money? I'm a firm believer as business owners, you've got to invest in yourself first. You need to reinvest capital into yourself. So the number one thing that I've done in this industry investing was ProShop ERP. We've been using ProShop since 2018, and my payback literally was within weeks. With their per user based pricing, I knew when I made the decision, I only needed to save my workers roughly 1 hour per month. We saw within the first week, we were saving multiple hours per day. That type of ROI just doesn't come along very often. Outside of that, the real value has been able to quickly implement best practices across my entire shop from the time we get an order to the time we ship it, scaling my business with confidence, being able to go out and know that I can deliver on my promise to deliver quality parts to my customer, and then gaining insights into every job, employee, machine, and every process in our business to really drive efficiency and look for opportunities for improvement. That's where the real value in your business drives. So visit ProShopERP.com, book a demo, and start realizing ROI today. That's ProShopERP.com.
So that was kind of the core insight. And okay, there's a really big business to be built here, building this mission critical software. But you need a wedge. You need that first product that's actually going to get you, your first customer, bring in revenue. That's going to help you build the team and do everything like that. And so I basically got together, joined forces with the two smartest people I knew, who were they co-founded a company with my brother, uh, augmented reality startup, really incredible tech, deep technology. They sold it to Cadence and decided, hey, we want to take, another swing. There's another really, really big business to be built here. And so we got together and we realized, oh, one obvious use case right in front of us when we went to our own factories was first article inspection reports, right? And I'm sure Mike, you can speak on this, maybe you as well, Nick, but it's something manufacturers are doing every single day, right? They're ballooning prints and filling inspection reports. Usually it's done fairly manually, at least by majority. There are other softwares out there, but a lot of manufacturers still doing it pen and paper. And it's quite literally critical because you cannot ship your parts and collect revenue until you complete your FAI.
Mhm.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, that's absolutely the case. I mean, you're right. We're doing them every day, and if we do them wrong, then you can send good parts with bad paperwork and they're rejected, right? I mean, that's
Describe the process at Hill for, like, how you're doing it today right now, Mike.
from start to finish. That might take a minute, but
We got a few.
yeah, I mean, a lot of it. I mean, to his point, I mean, a lot of it's not a hill process. It's a documented process, right? It's an AS 9100 process or
Mhm.
something. That like we have to do it this way. So I don't know that we're necessarily doing it any more unique than anybody else, but traditionally, certainly very manual. We've been doing bubbled prints for quite some time now. I don't know, 7 or 8 years, but it's still, we get a bubbled print and then we still have a very manual process of measuring every measurement, recording it. We do it in ProShop, which helps quite a bit because they have all their first article forms. All the first article forms we're required to provide are kind of built in, and we're using GroundControl. And, in a lot of ways, it's just, it's helping automate that process and make it where more people can be involved in that process, right? So it doesn't all fall on just the one person that understands the process. Because
Mhm.
I mean, first articles sometimes for us will become our biggest bottleneck day to day, right? If we've got, I think we were talking earlier via text. I mean, the rough math works out to, I'm running 58 jobs a day. Every one of those is requiring either an internal or external first article. And you've only got, a small handful of inspectors, right? That maybe fully understand that process. Now, some of those are internal first articles. It's to our criteria. Sometimes it's to a customer's criteria. But when that becomes your bottleneck, then all of a sudden your machines, if if you've got 6 jobs waiting on first article, you got 6 jobs sitting,
Mhm.
right? 6 machines, spindle not turning.
Exactly right, and the FAI process is critical. I mean, right, for when you're designing a new part, your Boeing, your SpaceX, your whomever, you wanna make sure there's some kind of process verification. Can someone build this part to spec, right? And so it's pretty critical to get that information, make sure it's accurate, make sure now and then you go into, then you get into PPAPs and process control and how do we build, a billion iPhones, but the FAI is critical. So, okay, so that's like we had the insight, we had the team, and then the real question you get asked in Silicon Valley, but in general is why now, right? FAIs have
Mhm.
been a thing for 20, 30 plus years. Mike's probably been seeing them for, quite some time. Why is now the right time for us to start this business? Why not 5 years ago? Why not 20 years in the future? That's where you see like, okay, what are like the macro trends without getting too economical? What are the macro trends here? This is a pretty fast growing market. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen this at your own businesses, but you see the US increasing its defense budget from, 1 to $1.5 trillion dollars. You see SpaceX having a literally once in a generation IPO. I don't know how many people made, millions of dollars there. And those people are going to go start new companies, in
Yep.
the next 5 years. You see a whole renaissance of the kind of space race, people building new satellites, people building interceptors, the Golden Dome project. There's just so much going on. And then there's separately a whole trend of how do we bring manufacturing back to America, right? There's this reshoring effort that's going on. And credit to, the US for making an attempt to do so because obviously over the last 40 years we've kind of lost a lot of business overseas to China and places like that, so it's cool to see things bringing back.
Well, I think, credit to the pandemic for the wake-up call too, because I
Yeah,
think that triggered a lot of it.
sure.
But, yeah, it showed you how important it is to have, domestic supply chain or at least nearshore supply chain.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you need nearshore, you need domestic supply chain. There's all these new programs being launched, there's money flying everywhere, but the population of the US has not 2x, so we need to find people to do all these jobs, and we will, or we need some level of automation, right? We definitely don't want to take away jobs. We want to create jobs, but the math doesn't make sense to say, we're just going to use humans to do all this extra work. You need some level of automation on the front end in the actual manufacturing process on the back end. All of those forces are coming in. And the last missing puzzle piece is okay, how do you build really good software in AI without a team of, PhDs? And that's when you say, "Oh, wow, there's this new thing called the large language model and ChatGPT and Claude." And, you were saying beforehand, Nick, like even anyone can write code now, which I think we're going to see a lot of manufacturers building software in house, which I think for a lot of use cases makes sense. I mean, it's weird for me to say that as someone who's, providing software solutions to manufacturing, but I think in a lot of cases, people should build things in house. You know your problems better than anyone else does. You can likely articulate them to, Claude better than you can articulate it to some web developer somewhere. Um, Now, I think there are use cases where it is much more expensive and to try and build in house than buy a solution off the shelf, especially when things get more complex. But I think
Yeah,
lots of simple use
tokens
cases.
aren't free, apparently, I'm learning this.
Yeah,
I get put in,
Unfortunately,
Claude timeout a lot. We gotta wait 5 hours.
till they
I think
reset.
people
Yeah,
lose
Yeah.
on that topic too. I think people do lose sight of building on standards and like good
Mhm.
sound core data too, right? Like if I were to vibe code my own ERP system to match my operations, now I'm limited at my operations, right? Versus
Mhm.
adopting like best practice and maybe like we learned a lot implementing ProShop. Like we learned better ways to do things than we had been doing it for the previous 40 years. Where I fully support like using to like augment those systems. Like I mean we're actively augmenting ProShop and all our different systems to aggregate data and analyze it. But I think people lose sight of the value of, good sound, like heartbeat, right? And then from there, do something with the data.
Mhm.
Absolutely, especially when you're dealing and then you have, like, you add on the regulated ITAR
Right.
CUI on top of that. Now there's a lot that goes into the infrastructure. I mean, we have a whole team that just does infrastructure to manage. We see thousands of FAIs going through our platform every single month from hundreds of customers, and there's a lot of infra work to manage there that isn't so simple, especially when you're dealing with regulated data. That's the team. There's an obvious reason to do it now. It's a fast growing market. I mean, I'm sure you both are feeling the energy. Aerospace, defense, manufacturing in America. That's going to bleed into other end markets as well. I'm positive. Kind of a rising tide lifts all boats.
Mhm.
So we built what we believed to be a best in class solution. We, used our own software engineering experience, built something state of the art, built it in the cloud, wanted to keep things as modern as possible, make it as easy as possible for people, at Hill or any other manufacturer to use our software without having to deal with the complexities of installations and licenses and things like that. And it's just been kind of like a rocket ship ever since. I mean, this was what, 2 years ago now. We started the company. We've already crossed 200 customers. We're working with mostly in the US, but customers also around the world, small mom and pop shops, all the way up to, I think, like now we're working with 5 public companies. And it's just really exciting. It's so
Yeah,
much fun to build.
it sounds like it. I mean, you can hear it in your voice. You can hear the excitement, and I agree on the boom too. Like, my world's more on the machine tool itself, and all of my biggest customers are saying, "Hey, we just had a record quarter. We just had a record month." So, and it's the hardware, it's the software, it's what's happening, in geopolitics and everything. But it seems like we have a really positive time, and we've been through some seasons with making chips where everyone's talking about recessions and how to claw for every order you can get. Right now, it seems like it's a pretty good time, though. I mean, I don't know if that's what you're feeling, Mike, but it's kind of a heyday here.
Yeah. I mean, if we could get it all done, we'd have
Yeah.
crazy growth. I mean, that's what we're up against is just we're not scaling as fast as the opportunity is scaling, but we're
Mhm.
trying.
That's all you can do is try. And then, yeah, I agree. That's the hard thing is, okay, well, I want to accept, people are coming to me with orders. I've talked to manufacturers who are like, we're turning down orders because
Yeah.
we can't handle all the scale. It sounds like that's happening for you guys as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially that's almost where we're at. I mean, we're not. I wouldn't say we're turning down more orders than we have in the past, but yeah, I mean, we're definitely in a situation where it's until we fix some other stuff, we can't take on big commitments.
I think it's like the
Pretty s-
right work too, like
Yeah.
it's you can't just make the customers give you exactly what fits your shop right now. It seems like where you're busy as heck, they want to give you even more work. And then where you need the work, it's like, oh, how do I find the customer who's going to give me
Right.
that type of work? And it's never as easy as it sounds when you map it all out in an Excel sheet or something like that. But
Right. Fellas, hey, well, I got you both real quick. So I'm really trying to drill in like our work holding options at Hill and all of our shops. Got any advice?
Mike, it's as simple as RASRAM.
As what?
RASRAM, you've never heard of it?
I have not.
Paul?
What Nick is referring to is the 7 habits of highly effective work holding:
That makes more sense.
repeatability, accessibility, scalability, reliability, adaptability, and modularity.
If you want to find all of these principles in one catalog, check out the SMW Autoblok catalog. You can find it at smwautoblok.com.
Thanks, fellas.
You had the family electronics manufacturer. That's where the insight came from. Then you're like, hey, I think we could actually do this because I'm not going to have to hire, like you said, 10 PhDs to get started. So the time period from like kind of, were you working with your family's business or were you just kind of there observing and being like, where can I create something that would help? Did you always have your mindset on like, hey, I want to build some software for manufacturing, or was it like, hey, this would actually help our company and I'm doing this every day and it's annoying, so I need to build this thing? Kind of, when did you say, hey, like, let's start putting pen to paper and make this?
It's a little bit of all the above. We're always ideating, looking at where we can build, where we can add value. There's a common phrase that we wanted to avoid. It's called, what you don't want to do is build a solution looking for a problem,
Hmm.
right? What
That
that
makes a
means
lot of
is like,
sense. Yeah.
I built some cool AI thing, widget. Now let me go find somewhere that it fits. And
Yeah.
we wanted to avoid that at all costs. We wanted to do the opposite. We want to say, let's find a really, really tough, hairy problem and then build the solution for it.
Like in Office Space when the guy builds the jump to conclusions mat. Do you remember? It's like the dumbest thing ever. Well, it sounds like you built something well, it doesn't just sound like. I mean, you did build something that's a pervasive problem for pretty much anyone making parts. Everyone's gotta do first article inspection. So that was when you say, it's 2 years ago and now we've got, would you say, couple hundred customers now?
Yeah, we crossed 200 customers a couple months ago.
Is that really how fast it was from, like, deciding you're going to have a business and starting or did you, like, have the product 2 years ago and then get to 200 customers? Like, you
We
really started this from the beginning, square one was 2 years ago.
we wrote the first line of code in May of 2024. So two years and
Wow.
2 months ago.
Yeah, good
It
stuff,
was
man.
when we write and it was just, me and my coworker, we wrote all the software ourselves. We built everything to handle, be in the government cloud, handle at the time it was just NIST 800, FedRAMP wasn't a big thing then. And we started growing really fast. And then we came across almost an existential crisis. We started to hear people, say to us, "Hey, have you heard about this FedRAMP thing and CMMC coming up?" And, we heard we were aware of what's going on, but customers started to more and more say, "Hey, this might be something that's coming up. You may want to, we may need from you." And then it really started to pick up, I wanna say September, October 2025. We started hearing a lot of customers saying, "Hey, we can't even engage with you until you have FedRAMP because we have CMMC." Or, "Hey, if you don't have FedRAMP by, November 2026, again, who knows that deadline's gonna change, but at the time, we can't use your software." And that was a pretty big deal because I would say 99% of our customers either have or are going to have CMMC.
Mhm.
So if we didn't get it by November, straight back to square zero.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and I wanna say, so I met you roughly a year ago, I guess, at in Indianapolis at
yep.
the Automated Shop Conference. I think at that time you were just launching, right?
We probably had at that point when I met you, I want to say 70 or 80
Oh,
customers.
okay.
But we had, I mean, that was all just from like, getting customers, guerrilla tactics. We kind of realized at that point around that July time that, oh, wow, trade shows are where you want to be. That's where you really meet people. I don't know if I ever would have met you and Paul outside of, a random show in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
And so that was really our like, okay, this is our go to market. Like we are going to be everywhere that our customers are. And, I think 2025 we did maybe 5 shows. This year we're on track to do 15. Next year
oh,
we
wow.
wanna, more than double it to over 30 because it's just such a great way to meet people, shake their hand, get to know them and more than like as much as virtual calls are nice and help you talk to anyone around the world, it's not quite the same as if the 3 of us were in a room, right?
Sure.
Well, it's funny, I mean, the 3 of us were in that room, and we didn't even meet really till, like, the phone call the other day.
Yeah,
So, even when you go to the same event, the chances of being able to, like, really connect with everyone that you could connect with, you have a limited amount of time, like, you had your table there or whatever, I had my table there, and we didn't connect till a year later. It's like
Yeah.
and
well,
I
and
think that, as far as trends and stuff, I think with all the AI and how easy it is to connect, we've been talking about this a lot. I think in-person community events is something that we crave. Like, yeah, we're kind of all seeing each other and it's almost like we're in the same room because we got these webcams on and stuff, but it's not the same.
it's not the same.
We could all have a plate of food in front of us, but we didn't go to dinner together. You
Right.
know, it's not the same thing at all.
Well, and let's not discount. I mean, like, let's like detour for a second and talk about events. To be even more specific, we didn't just meet at the conference. We met when we were walking to like the event one evening
Right.
4
After.
blocks away, and we're just happened to
Yeah.
be walking next to each other, and we're like, "Yeah, what do you do? What do you do?" And, so, like, take that, like, when you go to the events, that's great, but go do the other stuff too, like, don't just walk around, sit in sessions, go to the tables and get free pins, like, talk to people, meet them.
Mhm.
Like, it's so much more than that.
Yeah,
That
you have to actively network. Don't just show up and think that it's, like, gonna happen.
I could not agree more. That level of serendipity is like it can't be recreated virtually.
Mhm.
That's why we only bring bananas, no pens. So people are forced to ask us what's up with the bananas.
I love that. That's awesome.
You'll
Well,
see it at
okay,
IMTS.
so you bring, like, real bananas?
We bring probably at IMTS, we'll probably go through 500, 600 bananas.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
every
That is
single show
so
we bring
cool.
bananas. And my team's at Farnborough in London right now, the air show. Already gone through 100 plus bananas because
I
it's
mean, do you
just
have,
different.
like, some
People
tie-in, like, with like, "Oh, well, the banana represents" or just it's just like, I don't know, just have a banana.
we're
It's
working
just
on
odd.
something there. Right now, it's just look, everyone else has chocolate, candy, or like pens. And
Yeah,
people
mints or
are
something,
walking
yeah,
all day.
yeah.
They want something healthy. They want something different. It always starts a conversation. It's never failed us.
That's awesome.
That is great. Well, hey, we're doing all these events at IMTS where we're doing, like, this happy hour and this coffee thing, and you know what we don't have a plan for, Mike,
We
is
do
we don't have
not
any
have a banana
bananas.
party.
We I think if you advertise a banana party, you might get an audience where you weren't even ready for, okay?
Like,
Yep.
come to us for drinks. We'll give you alcohol. Go to ground control if you want something healthy.
That'll be the morning after the hangover cure. We'll give you a banana and some
There you
Tylenol.
go. See, there's the tie-in. I knew you'd see, you need the clever founder to get you the
Yep.
tie-in. Well, hey, let's go to the name. I keep thinking about the name. When did you have the aha moment? What should we call this thing that we're building? Or did you know from the beginning? Tell us the story behind the name Ground Control.
I wish we had known from the beginning. It would have been nice retroactively to say that, but no, we had no idea what to call it. We spent hours going through name generators, writing names on a whiteboard, just anything we could think of. And it's so funny how, like, in the moment, everything sounds so random. And, you look at brands like Hill. Oh, Hill is a great four-letter name, easy to remember. Everything sounds so great. And then you're trying to come up with your own name. You're like, this doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. And eventually, we came up the name generator came up with ground control, and we were like, "This is actually you can make an argument that, there's ground control in Major Tom." Hopefully, we don't get sued for that. We're not saying Major Tom.
Mhm.
There's, the actual, like, Houston, we have a problem talking to, the ground control,
Yeah.
the ground station at the for, like, anything related to aerospace and defense. And it just kinda clicked, and we all just looked at each other, and we were like, "Okay, this is the one." And we bought the domain, and we were just kind of off to the races and didn't think about it again after that.
So what
That's
were you
awesome.
what was the name you were really pushing for that didn't happen that you
Friends with bananas?
Banana software. Uh,
banana
I
control?
I don't know if we had one. We really just I'm curious to hear like, what was the story behind, how do you pronounce it? Golner?
Yeah, well, Hennig is a family name. We acquired the
Hennig.
company in 1999. So kinda like Mike, Hill is from Cheryl Hill,
Yeah.
a lovely lady who I got to sit next to at your
You did
daughter's
get to
wedding,
meet
Mike,
her.
and she was great. But now everyone calls him Mike Hill from Payne Manufacturing.
Yeah, I do get called Mike Hill a lot.
But yeah, no, Hennig is, like, kind of the name, and then obviously Goldner's the last name. We have another business called Advanced Machine and Engineering. That's what we do. And then, Sly Tech is kind of a play on words of Cameron Schley, the guy who created that. Um,
I do like the
yeah.
manufacturing has there's, like, you often see these words precision, advanced. It's very easy to tell if someone's in aerospace just from their name.
Well, my
Even near you.
95-year-old grandfather wanted a to be starting with the letter A because the yellow pages.
Oh,
And, we
surprised
actually
you didn't
own
call it Aardvark. You get
AME.
2 A's at the beginning.
Yeah, the aardvark manufacturer. But yeah, we have, AME.com actually. Like, we got a three-letter domain starting with A, which was wild. That just shows kinda he was thinking,
That's pretty
but
awesome.
Well,
yeah.
you guys are young enough to not remember this, but I mean, that was a real thing. Like, you really were trying to be, like, at the top of the in the yellow pages. I mean,
Yeah.
so you wanted an A, a B, something like that, because much like you don't ever get past the first page of Google, right? You didn't get past the first 4 or 5 lines of the yellow pages either 40 years
Yeah,
ago.
that's fair.
Yeah.
AI is everywhere right now, and it's going to be all over IMTS. But here's the real question. How do you turn buzzwords into actual manufacturing outcome? That's exactly what the IMTS Industrial AI Conference is built for. On Wednesday, September 16th, head to the South Building at IMTS for a one-day practitioner-focused program on reality-based AI for the factory floor. This isn't vague futurism or jargon soup. It's about understanding where AI really fits in manufacturing, from predictive maintenance and quality to edge versus cloud, small models, LLMs, and how to move from problem to purpose to process. If you're trying to figure out what AI can do inside your shop, this is the room you want to be in. Learn more at the link in the show notes or head over to imts.com for more info.
What was the minimum viable product when you first started?
That's a good question. Minimum viable product. I think for the first 2 months, our product, you couldn't actually rotate PDFs. So if you had a PDF that was rotated 90 degrees, you had to rotate it outside of our software and then bring it in. So it was very much like something that just, but it doesn't matter. People still bought it because we realized like the core insight is you just need one magic moment that makes like is the real pain point, and everything else people will kind of, over time you'll develop the software. For us, that was accurately pulling text from these really old hand-drawn PDFs. Like, that was the thing we encountered everywhere was you see these 1960s Pratt& and Whitney drawings or Rolls-Royce or Lockheed or whatever,
Or
and they're,
something from
tough.
advanced machine and engineering that my 95-year-old grandfather drew up on his drafting board.
That's exactly right. They're drafting board drawings, like, quite literally
Yeah.
how they used to make drawings, and, you're trying to type this out into your AS9102 form or your FAI form or trying to pull it out with software, and if it's not accurate, the report will get rejected, right? Even if the parts are fine, if you have a typo, it gets rejected. So we worked really hard to build state-of-the-art character recognition, and we built something that outperforms the rest of the market by a mile. And that it was our core thing of like, hey, you're going to be able to pull the data accurately and quickly. And if that's true,
Okay. So that like OCR, I used to have this app where I would take a picture of a business card and it would like put the text in my phone, and I think the tech was called OCR. Was
yes,
that were you just like a better version of that that's gonna like be able to interpret scribbles and stuff like that, or
that's exactly right. OCR, optical character recognition.
okay, got it.
Generally, the default is pixel based, so it looks at the number of like literally black and white pixels in a section and says this is most likely this. But what that doesn't give you is some of the logic in manufacturing, and you may have something that looks like an eye, but the actual image was of a dimension, like dimension that was, let's say it's like 1.01 inches.
Mm,
An eye there doesn't make any sense, right? Anyone who
mhm.
looks at drawing, any human can tell you that, but if it was hand drawn, there's some specs on the drawing, the OCR may think it's an eye. And that's the kind of mistakes we built our OCR like to avoid is how do we actually build some logic into it to say like, okay, let me pull what this is and let me actually think about does that make sense or not? And
Hmm.
having that kind of two-stage, two-pronged approach is what let us build something that's best in class and is able to, pull from these old hand scribbled drawings with relatively high accuracy. You upload the drawing, you upload the certs, we'll balloon everything, pull out the data and fill out, an AS9102, any other FAI template. And then we will say, okay, wherever you need this data to go, we'll give it to you in a nice, clean format. It could be Excel, it could be PDF, it could be Net Inspect. Wherever you need it to go, we can get it there. That was kind of the key is like, okay, a full product that gets you to your end state and make sure the customer is going to approve it and accept it. Because at the end of the day, from what we hear from OEMs, this does go in your scorecard. This does matter. It's not just building good parts that are high quality. It's also having, the paperwork that lets them use those parts.
So when you talk about, you bubble that, send it wherever you want. I mean, one of the things you can do is send it direct to ProShop as well, right?
That's exactly right. That stemmed from that same time I met you, I met Paul Van Meter, and we realized, oh wow, we're already working with quite a few Pro Shop customers. But for them, they're not just using this for FAIs, they're also using it for in process and they want these inspection plans in Pro Shop. And today they're doing it with a sort of a manual import that requires some extra work. And we realized there's some really good synergies here where we've already built the core ballooning technology and we have all of our kind of, secret sauce there. And ProShop has built a best in class ERP that is like the source of truth of data. So why don't we link them together since we're both cloud applications? So we launched that and it's been going like mad. I mean, I think we're well over 40 shops who have signed up for this, and what you're able to do is do your ballooning, do your inspection report, click a single button, and all the data transfers automatically directly into ProShop accurately as per ProShop's kind of templates for master process control.
I mean, I knew the answer to that question because we're doing it, and it's great. I mean, it really when I was talking earlier about, that bottleneck used to be in inspection, right? Like getting the bubble prints, creating the first articles, all those types of things, even just creating the forms, much less making the measurements, right? It really has opened the door now to where, I mean, hell, I could probably do it if I had to with it being integrated. I'm not gonna test that theory, but yeah, no, I mean, it's game changer for sure.
Like, kudos to Paul. Like he gets the pro shop attention here, and he doesn't even come to the episode. So like, it's just the guy just blows my mind. He's amazing.
His
It's like
presence is always
lights out
known.
podcasting.
He is the
It's
perfect man.
unattended podcasting.
Unattended. Yeah, that's funny. Lights out
Uh,
Yeah.
podcasting.
no, I mean, seriously though, kudos to the whole ProShop team. They've been so
Yeah.
great to work with. Making the integration was super seamless, getting it to customers, testing it. We got our FedRAMP certification 2 weeks ago, which was a huge accomplishment. I actually think we are the smallest company in the world to have FedRAMP by like number of employees, which is, it's extremely proud for us, all the work we put in. ProShop just announced their FedRAMP certification, I think 2 days ago or maybe yesterday,
Yeah, it was this week.
That's awesome.
which is huge. I mean, that's even more huge because, your ERP is where all your data lives and you really want that to be secure and,
Mhm.
make it easy for you to handle your CMMC certification. So it's been great working with them and we're just getting started again. There's so much more to build.
Yeah, no, jokes aside, it's everyone who uses ProShop seems to love it. The culture around the team there is so great. Paul's done a really good job with that business. So, you said you're the smallest, so how many employees are you now?
Right now we are 15, but we're
Cool.
growing very quickly. I expect that number to increase like very, very soon.
Well, I like that you said that too, because the whole idea is that, hey, if you're in software, you're doomed, AI is gonna take all your jobs, and there's no point in having people anymore because we all have Claude or whatever. And so maybe speak to that a little bit. Why do you need so many people if, AI is a thing?
Well, I would actually argue if we were pre-AI, we would probably for to support the, scale we're at, we would probably need 25, 30 people. We've been able to
Mhm,
do so much more with so many fewer people. I think
mhm.
that's the key is that like it's not taking software. Anyone who's used, I mean, ChatGPT or Claude for more than 30 minutes knows it will still hallucinate. It'll still mess things up. It'll confidently tell you incorrect answers. Who knows what's going to happen in 20 years from now? I can't make any predictions on that. But today, there's still a need for a software engineer. There's still a need for complex software that can, handle data regulation, handle complex workflows. Like Mike said, build best practices in given scale across hundreds of thousands of customers. I'm sure you guys are seeing it in manufacturing as well, right? Like, I think there's another saying that goes around, which is, ChatGPT is not going to replace you, but the person who uses ChatGPT and gets a lot more done, they may replace you. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we encourage, yeah.
We're 1,000 employees now, and then on my side of the business with me and my brother on the machine tool side, we're, like, just under 300 maybe. And all of our leadership team has to go, and we all wanna go, but we have to go. We've hired a firm that's, like, an expert in helping us use AI to, like, be pervasive throughout all of our systems and give us the answers quickly. We have homework assignments every week. We have to go to an hour-long training session every week to learn how to use, in our case, it's Claude that we're using, but it's like this whole new skill that we're all learning at once, and whether it's operations or supply chain or sales and marketing or even HR, like, everybody's using it, and it's just really fun, and I love, like, how committed we are to it. It's not like, maybe we should use it or a couple people can use it. It's like, no, we're on this mission to amplify what makes us special, not to substitute what makes us special, but to amplify it. And so we got to use AI to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it goes
fantastic.
back to what we said earlier. We're not I mean, to meet the demand because of reshoring and because of explosion in the market and, all the economic conditions, we're not gonna do it with bodies. The
Right.
bodies don't exist. So every body we have needs to be more productive.
Hmm.
right? I mean, no different than like what you talk about on Lights Out, right? It's
Yeah.
not to replace people, it's to make the people you have more productive.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't afford to have, I call them doormen and women with all you do is open and close the door and reload a part. That's
Right.
a robot's job. I always talk about, hey, the people are taking the robots' jobs, you know? That's a
Yeah.
job for a robot. Let's let the people do things that only people can do,
Yeah.
and I think
That
you I see you nodding because I'm sure ground control is like, why would you have a person do that all day, every day when there's a software that can make it way more streamlined?
that's exactly right. Every product we build, we think about that. Like, one, is it the right solution? Is there a real problem here? Two, is this something where our software can help someone do 10 times? We're not trying to take away people's jobs, but can we help someone do when they get that surge order and, Mike accepts another X million dollars of work, can his team feel, prepared that they can handle all of that workload? And that's where I think software and that scale really comes in handy. If you're doing, an order a day, you don't really have that scale. I would actually say you don't need software. It's not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really for people, when you're trying to scale, when you're in that growth mode, is where it makes a lot of sense. And that's where we think about, we won't have time to get into all the other products. But as a teaser, the new product we launched, which we're really excited about, is contract review.
Mm.
Anyone who's reviewed contracts from the primes, from the neo primes, they know they can get pretty hairy. There's terms and conditions. They switch the unit price from the quote, which on a big order can make quite a big difference. And we built a really cool system that actually will take all the ingested data, the emails, the quote, the PO, and tell you very quickly, hey, here's the standard checklist you should be looking at. Here's what they messed up. Here's cited sources of where in each document we found that they made a mistake. And then here's an auto drafted email you can send to the buyer telling them where they messed up and how to fix the PO so you can accept the work faster.
So I didn't know you've done
That's
that.
cool.
I wanna learn more about that, and I'll give you the reason why. So Nick knows this, I've talked about it, I've over the past month or so, something like that, I've asked my entire management team to identify, like, these big time sinks that they're dealing with, right? And where are you looking for information that if you already knew it would you can make a decision in 2 minutes, but you're spending 2 hours getting the information you need. And in a lot of ways to figure out, like, where can AI help us? Taking a lot of those answers, feeding them to AI and saying, "Hey, look at this and tell me where you can help me." And it's funny you talk about the contract review because what it identified that I would have totally skipped over is almost every response I got came back to the PO entry process. Could create these major time sinks. One, entering the PO takes time. Doing contract review takes time. But if there's anything wrong on it, we might make the wrong part to the wrong rev load, right? And we got to start over. Or, you get all the way to the end and you invoice and your PO was in wrong, like your invoice might get rejected, right? So that PO entry process and contract review kind of came back as this like weird bottleneck that we didn't even know we had across our entire value chain, right? Like from essentially from quoting all the way to invoicing. And so
Yeah.
that's actually something that we're trying to tackle internally right now is like, how do we improve that PO entry and contract review process to eliminate all these potential errors? And that was the thing is the errors that can come out of that process and they're fairly infrequent, but they're incredibly costly, right? So like
Could not
maybe
agree
not
more.
get paid.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's like one of those cases similar to quality where you don't want to just chase time savings, right? You want to chase time savings, but really you want to chase accuracy because if you
Yeah.
have a 6, 7-figure PO and you make a mistake, you know, I don't think every customer is going to say, "Oh, no worries, let's rewind
Yeah, here,
everything,
let's
let's
take
fix
care of
it."
that. I'm gonna brag on one of your products that I just love that we use. I don't even know what you call
The
it, but
check-in system.
the check-in system, like so when we have visitors, we're ITAR, we gotta, register everybody. There's a QR code on our when you walk into our lobby, you scan that, you fill your thing out, it notifies whoever they're there to see that they're there at the lobby, like, it's great, and it's such a quick, simple little solution that is incredibly valuable, saves time, and honestly, just kinda looks better, right, than 20-year-old pad sitting on the desk that everybody's got to walk up to and fill out.
Mhm.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. I
It
was gonna
makes it
bring
feel
that up
like
at
you're
the
a
end.
certain type of shop when
Yeah,
when you have like a kind of an iPad process and it prints out
right.
the little sticker or whatever, it looks nice. So
That's exactly what it is. Like, hey, this is the you go to any shop and you see the paper everywhere, and then you tell someone, hey, if someone audits you, you need to have 5 years of logs and prove citizenship. That's a tough ask. And so our thing was like build something easy, implement it in 5 minutes. It just works. You don't need to do any customization or setup. You can if you want to, but you don't need to. And that's kind of our whole thesis at Ground Control. So
We
it's awesome
send
to definitely be.
Nick, sometimes we send that link to people that we know are coming.
they get it done before. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, like they've already filled and you do it from your phone, right? So all your autofill is already there. It takes you 4.5 seconds to fill out the
That's
form.
cool.
There was a
That's
event,
cool.
ProShop event, where they hosted it at a shop that uses our check-in system, and it was great because they had, I think, 30, 40 people coming for the event. Everyone can just check out in parallel as they come. You're not waiting in line and the iPad.
Right.
On your contract review stuff, does it review NDAs and stuff like that too, or
So the core use case really is POs and quotes because we didn't want to just become a competitor to ChatGPT. Suffice to say, we're going to keep building out our product roadmap, and we have heard this from multiple customers. What you just asked me, so I'll
well, because
say
sometimes you get like the basic boilerplate one, and it's like, okay, this is fine, and then other times they give you like a Bible, and you're like, well, what, like, what can I
Right.
not do anymore now? Like you get so paranoid by the time you're done reading it, you're like, are we allowed to make anything ever again if I sign
Right.
this? It's
yeah,
crazy.
that's pretty fair. Yeah,
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm sure there will be many updates to the ground control story, and thanks for kind of giving us the origins and where you're at today. As we close here, give us kind of the one thing you're most excited about, and the one thing you hope to have a lot of conversations about at like IMTS, for example.
great question. Well, first, it was great for being here. Thank you both for having me. We'll definitely see you both at IMTS. I think one big thing we're definitely excited about is having this FedRAMP certification because it really gives us a way to bring all of our technology, current and future products, in a compliant way and make sure
Hmm.
that our customers don't have to worry about does it meet this standard, does it meet that standard. It just works and you can use it. It's compliant. That's what we're really excited about because that unlocks a whole new wave of growth, right? That unlocks for us a lot of growth and unlocks for our customers a lot of growth and a lot of not having to worry about these things. And then number two, I think be having a lot of conversations about our contract review product as we bring it to market and understanding, this is such a general process. There's not really a software that I know of that does what we're building. Our ballooning software, there are other FAI generation, there are other products in the market. But for this, there's not really anything that exists today. And so it's going to be really interesting to see, can we carve a new niche in this market? Can we really solve this properly across, 10 different manufacturers may have 10 different checklists. So how do we really build that source of truth and make it generalizable?
Yeah.
Niche is the word for me because like there's legal AIs that'll help you review legal stuff, and you're probably paying for a bunch of stuff that you don't actually need on a day-to-day basis the way you would need like a manufacturing specific solution that a shop like Hill or Hennig would want to use. So I'm excited to see where you guys are going with it, and congratulations on all the success so far. We love a good entrepreneur, don't we, Mike?
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for having me.
Yeah. Well, I think you said it earlier, if you're waiting for 6 hours for a bunch of first articles to happen. I think it was you who said it, Mike,
You're
and if
not
you're not
making
making
chips.
chips, you're not making money. Bam.
Bam.
If you're not making chips, you're not making any money. If you're not making chips, you're not making any money.
If you're not making chips, you're not making money. Bam. If you're not making chips, you're not making money. Making money. Bam. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not making chips, you're not money. Ladies and gentlemen,
If you're not making chips, you're not
Making money, 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 not making money.